Hello, everyone. We're going to get started because it's a little after 3. We were waiting for some people to join. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here. And my name is Anna Bryce, and I am the VP of Programming here at the AMA Phoenix. And we are thrilled to have you with us, and we are thrilled to have April Holle here with us to speak. And today is April's birthday, so she is joining us on her birthday and giving us a fabulous presentation for her birthday gift to us is a fabulous presentation. So thank you, April, for joining us. And real quick before we get started, I just would like to thank our sponsors. As I've said before, we cannot do what we do without our sponsors. And I would particularly like to thank Taylor Wellman, who is our host, and she's from Financial Potion. So if you ever need video, please consider calling Financial Potion. And of course, you could always reach out to me and I can connect the two of you. And I'd also like to point out Made Better Studio, because she is our speaker today, but she is also one of our sponsors. So we thank Made Better Studio for joining us as a sponsor. And then lastly, we always like to thank our supporters, because these are the companies that employ our board members, and our board members do a lot of work, and we appreciate it, and we appreciate that they get the support from their employers. So let's just get started, because I know April has a lot of really great information for us. So April is, for the AMA, she is our website expert, and we can't thank her enough for being that person for us. And one thing I always love is when I hear that our speakers started at a really young age, their fascination with the internet and computers and tech. And for April, that began at age 14. And that's just a lot of fun. So she was a young lady when she started her fascination with computers and the internet. And since then, she's worked with brands like Phoenix Children's Hospital, Weston, Kitchell, Red Bull, Paradise Bakery, Soft Scrub, and Facebook. In 2010, April founded her company, Made Better Studio, which is a marketing consultancy dedicated to helping do good businesses and nonprofit organizations share their great work. So without any further delay, I would like to introduce April Holle. April, thank you so much for joining us. Happy birthday, and thank you for joining us on your birthday.
Thank you so much, Anna. That's a great introduction, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys for my birthday. So I'm super excited about this, and let's just jump in. Let me pop this open here, and we'll go ahead and get started. So let me get rid of these guys. All right. So Hub and Spoke meets the customer journey and SEO. There was a lot of talk about like, well, there's a lot of jargon in that title. Is anybody going to show up? So we'll see. We'll see if we can get through what this is and what how they work together. But at any rate, let's see. Oop. I'm April Holle, principal, Made Better Studio. And I, like Anna said, started very young, at 14, and I was stuck in Kansas and didn't have a lot of friends, but I had the internet, and I started kind of building that community. And since then, I've kind of built my own company and everything else. So I'm super excited to share with you this information today. I've got 20 plus years of experience, so you'll definitely have a lot to learn. So let's just get started. So what is Hub and Spoke? Hub and Spoke is a content marketing strategy model. So what that means is it basically is just a model that you can use over and over again for your content marketing strategy. Conceptually, you will basically research, produce, and publish a main piece of content, which is the actual hub. And we'll talk a little bit more about the hub and kind of what those essence of the hub is here in a bit. But from that hub, you then create mini spokes that relate back to that significant piece of content and then support, promote it, and drive significant traffic to it. So you've got your spokes out here, and they're driving that traffic back to the hub. So that's kind of the general consensus of hub and spoke. So let's talk a little bit about what is the hub. So the hub is something that's worthwhile and beneficial enough that somebody's going to be interested in sharing with you their contact information. The reason why you want to have this little piece is that you want to basically capture that email address so that your marketers can, or you as a marketer can then start to lead, nurture, and develop a deeper relationship with that contact. So the hub is the core piece of content that you want them to see. Now, that's not to be confused with like a blog section on a website. The hub is more of a gated content piece. So you're expecting them to share with you some kind of contact information to get that ball rolling and to get that contact started. So you might have seen something like this. This probably looks very familiar. This is exactly what I'm talking about when I say a hub. So this is something I've just pulled off the internet, so random sampling, but it's the ultimate guide to content marketing. So it's giving you over 50 pages of actionable and practical tips that will teach you all kinds of nifty content creation pieces. You see the nice little, a little infographic here, of all the infographics and things that are inside the content. It's getting your juices flowing and your things wet, your mouth wet for that exciting piece of content that you're like, oh, I really want to read this. I really want to put my name and email address in here, and I really want this free guide. So that's the whole hub. Now, the hub in itself, I've got a mic pen fly. There you go. There's an example of a piece of content. Now, so examples of hub content types. So the most generic is going to be like your checklist. So like 25 things to maximize your security on your WordPress website or that kind of thing. You've got your standard ebooks. You've got how-to guides. So how to buy a barbecue in in your summer season this year. Could be something like that. How to get started working with a printer. Could be any kind of how-to guide that's really juicy content that they want to learn and definitely will benefit from. So a buyer's comparison or versus guide. Again, this is your topics of written content, but a buyer's comparison versus guide is basically like, our brand versus the leading competitor brand, what you should know before buying, that kind of thing. A high-level video or video series. So you'll have either just one piece of content that you gate or a series of videos that you gate. And then once they get you get their information, they get that content. A webinar. Those are great and informational pieces of content that you can then reuse for video content and that kind of thing. Interactive quizzes. So you see this a lot with, your standard fashion magazines and things like that. But you can also do an interactive quiz for, the best way that you could, like, are you unsure that your direct mail marketing competitor or direct mail marketing company is really doing you the best service? Check out this interactive quiz for more information. Or is, your direct marketing company screwing you? Find out now. Take our quiz. So you've got some interactive quiz ideas. Free consultation requests. So you could pony up like a 15-minute, 30-minute, hour-long consultation. And then basically they give you their email and name and phone number or whatever contact information you want to get from them, and then they get to schedule their free consult with you. Give me 1 second. I've got to take a drink. Delicious. All right. So when you're developing your hub, I've got 3 pages of notes here. I've got to get through them. So when you're developing your hub for your hub and spoke content plan, you'll first want to sit down and write your, kind of think about your pillar page, your hub page. There's some great questions that you can ask yourself to make sure that it's, kind of this is your driving page. You really want it to speak to your target audience, and you really want to hit all the deliverables that fit within your hub and spoke strategy. So let's talk about these. So what information can your company or can you provide to your viewers that they would really be interested in? What kind of answers or questions do they have? What kind of questions do they have, and what kind of answers can you provide them? Definitely one of those questions that you want to ask yourself. And then in what way will the information benefit your viewers? So you really want this to be beneficial content. And this content needs to be super rich and definitely kind of a dense, kind of piece of material that they're really going to find value in. What information do you have expertise in? It's really going to be hard to create a hub for Hub and Spoke if you aren't interested in what you have expertise in. Don't try to write something or create something about that is not actually within your wheelhouse. You're going to spend a lot of time, money, and expertise spinning your wheels when you just need to work on what you are actually good at. And then what's the goal of this piece of content? Once you capture these leads, what are you actually going to do with them afterwards? Are you going to be, putting an email drip series campaign together? Are you going to be actually contacting them for, to schedule their free consultations? Are you going to be, make sure that you deliver on this hub? You definitely want to make sure that they're getting what they are giving their contact information out for. So definitely want to make sure that you've got that piece in here. The number one goal for most hub and spoke strategies is to either drive awareness or leads. Awareness is one thing, it's you're really, just learning about somebody, and leads is, kind of capturing that contact information and really using that to your benefit to continue to build that, nurture that relationship with that contact. Woo! All right, so let's talk about spokes. So spokes are basically leads that spokes are supportive content pieces that are going to be providing additional information, but about your spoke or about your hub content, but it's also going to be driving the reader towards your hub. And your spokes can actually be part of your hub content information. So you can write like a 5-page or a 50-page ebook, and from that 50-page ebook have chapters that then break into smaller spokes, or just kind of building out those kinds of things. So let's talk about examples of spoke content types. So for spoke content types, one of the major ones that we see out there is blogs. So you may take a piece of your hub content and then pull it out, extrapolate a little bit more, and give it to be 5 tips on SEO content marketing. So you can definitely kind of build out and elongate and extrapolate upon the content that you've already created within the hub. Guest posts are another great way to do this, and guest posts can be, a couple different things. You can do guest blog posts. You could do, other ways of doing things are like interviews, podcasts, things of that nature. But basically getting your channel and your information onto someone else's channel for those guest postings or guest media options. So this could even be, something like you get picked up for the local news, and that's part of that. So just an option for guest posts. Oh, and then, oh no, back one. So then we've got press releases. Those are pretty standard as far as, your press release. You can definitely do, um, press releases about case studies or different different pieces of your content later on. We get into the sample strategy a little bit later on. I'll kind of show you how that works as far as press releases and kind of using that as a tool as well. Emails and email drip campaigns, those are great to use as well. Kind of going out and doing more push marketing rather than pull in some ways. Then you have videos, so you can always take a piece of content that you created, like a webinar, and then break it down into videos, and then have that piece be a piece of the spoke. Social media posts. So for a lot of the things that you'll be wanting to create, like your blog posts, or your guest posts or your videos, you can then reshare those content pieces out onto social media to make them social media posts. So you've got additional spokes that way as well. Infographics are great because you can have a full infographic and even make it a hub if it's great enough, if it's really robust enough. But generally, infographics are seen as spoke content. And then what you can do is you can take that infographic and take little chunks of the infographic and turn it into graphics to be used on social media as well, and as well as advertising. So you can see this a lot on Facebook or Google Ads, where people will be advertising guides or how-to books, or how-to hub pieces of content as part of a ad strategy or ad marketing campaign to drive traffic to that hub. So another drink, please. All right. The customer journey, SEO, and the hub and spoke walk into a bar. No, just kidding. But let's talk about how these concepts relate now that you have a better understanding of what hub and spoke is. If anybody can come up with a hub and spoke SEO customer journey walk into a bar joke by the end of this thing, put it in chat. We'll see who wins for the best joke. Because I couldn't come up with one. I was like, no, just can't do it. But let's talk about how they relate. So let's talk about the customer journey in hub and spoke. So the customer journey is a whole nother topic that we could spend a whole nother hour talking about. But let me break it down to you very quickly. So basically, it's the funnel, and you've got the awareness at the top. So I'm aware of your brand. You've got consideration. I'm aware of your brand, and now I want to make a purchase around what you're doing, and I'm kind of interested in what you have. And I'm considering what you have and how that's relevant to me. Oh, and then so the reason why, and then we've got decision. Let me go back one. We've got decision, which is basically the decision that I'm going to make to actually use your brand or use your product. And then the advocacy, I really liked your product, and now I really want to, promote it to my friends, relatives, things like that. I was just telling Matt that he should buy some Fixed Favor Rub, so that's advocacy right there. So in any case, the hub of your hub and spoke, you really want to kind of take that down to the consideration level. So if I'm considering you, it's those questions that I'm having about, those kinds of purchasing decisions that I'm having in that consideration phase. How much does it cost? Is it going to fix my problem? That's kind of the questions you want to be answering in your hub content at that consideration phase, gathering that contact data so that you can then kind of guide them through the decision-making process. You can sometimes get away with a hub in the awareness phase, but really until people start having a problem that you actually solve, they're probably not going to give up their their contact information for that piece of content. So the consideration phase is really where you want to spring that hub. And then your spokes kind of lead off into the beginnings of both the awareness phase as well as the decision phase and even the advocacy phase. You can have different spokes in different places for different people to help them promote your brand or to help them make a decision on that buying process or to just make them aware of your product or service. All right, that's customer journey in SEO or customer journey in Hub and Spoke. So now let's talk about Hub and Spoke meets SEO. So this could go really deep. And again, we could do a whole talk on SEO, and I could definitely do that. So maybe I'll come back and do that. But at any rate, the way that SEO kind of relates to Hub and Spoke is two different ways. One being the more content and the more spokes that you're putting out in the world, the better off your SEO is going to be for your hub page and your spokes in general, just because you have more content out there. And I'll show you in a little bit kind of how that works. So, and then the second piece is really the nuts and bolts of it is like picking out those keywords and those key course concepts that you're going to be talking about for each of your spokes. Um, so for instance, let's say for your hub, you want the main focus keyword, right? So you want your main keyword, the one you absolutely want to go after. So I've got that content marketing example that I showed you before. Here's the focus keyword for that piece, content marketing. Super easy content marketing, not a whole long list of keywords, just this one, focusing on this strictly. So that's your hub. And then for your spokes, you want to start looking at long tail keywords. So those long tail keywords will start to begin to bubble up both questions that your audience has, as well as answers that you need to provide to them, or things that or things that your audience might be interested in around those answers of content marketing. So for your spoke for this particular one, we might do a content marketing strategy blog or a content marketing strategy video or that kind of thing. But I think the video would be better suited for video content marketing, right? So maybe kind of structuring the strategy as a blog and then doing the video content marketing as the actual video. And then maybe kind of putting together another piece of content around SEO and content marketing, and then maybe even kind of focusing your content marketing blog, having that content marketing blog keyword. So you're kind of using your spokes as your long tail keywords, and then that way it helps to really focus the main focus keyword on your main hub where you want your traffic to go, and then your long tail keywords help to support to drive traffic to that hub. You'll see a lot of different places, kind of promoting uh, the blogs, the content pieces they create, the hubs inside of blogs using ads and things like that, like inside of the actual blog piece. And I can show you one of those here in a bit if you're interested. But that's basically kind of in a nutshell, kind of how it works when you're talking about your SEO and your keyword strategy and how that meets your hub and spoke strategy, and how they can kind of combine together. So now I've got the crown jewel of the whole day today, everybody. I spent some time putting this together for you, so I'm hoping you like it. I put together a hub and spoke sample publishing strategy for 6 months. Now, you can do this a couple of different ways. You can have your hubs, you can, really focus on promoting 2 good hubs a year and make a 6-month strategy, or you can condense these down to like 4 hubs a year and do 3 months quarterly strategy. The 6-month is actually more doable for more companies and more people, because there's less content to be developed over time. The shorter 3-month strategies are for more dedicated agency type situations where you have a lot of resources to actually pump out a lot of content, like crazy pants. So for month 1, you want to create the hub. Definitely spend enough time putting that piece together to where you feel like it's super solid. It's definitely something that people will want to, give you their contact information for, whether it be an ebook or white paper or interactive quiz or however you want to use that piece of content, make that piece of content. But you definitely need to create that hub first, because you can't drive traffic to something if you don't have something ready. Once you create the hub, then you can start to promote the hub on social media. And promoting the hub on social media, you'll see throughout this whole strategy, is actually the one that gets repeated the most. And that's because social media tends to move pretty fast. And so if you can promote it once a month or even more than once a month, you've got other content to go in between it. So it's not just the hub all the time. You can definitely promote it more, but you want to promote that hub on your social media channels, whatever channels you choose to promote it, based on the hub that you wanted to create, based on the audience that you have. Some people might have more people in, LinkedIn or Facebook. It really depends on your audience. So really figure out where they are and then kind of start going after them there. Then, because you have the hub, you can actually start doing advertising at this point. You can do Google ads, you could do Facebook ads, you could do LinkedIn ads, you could do all kinds of different advertising. But definitely consider doing an ad campaign, because that'll keep driving consistent traffic. It is paid traffic, but it is definitely consistent traffic, and it's interested traffic. So if you can, take that, 30-cent click that you got on pay-per-click advertising, and then turn that into a contact that you can then actually contact at this point, then, it's worth the money. So it's really about building that advertising campaign to the audience as well, and really making sure that you're promoting the benefits of the hub that you created. Then you want to create 2 blog posts. These blog posts, you can always repurpose the hub content. So if you've created an ebook, you've got that 50-page ebook, you can then take that little chapter or even a couple of pages and make it into a couple of blog posts, and really, really give away something that's good in those. So it's just a nice little cherry on top, a little teaser on top that says, hey, if you liked this, we got more juicy raspberries over here. So check it out at the hub and go buy it, and go not buy, but go sign up and get your piece of juicy content. Then you're going to take those blog posts and you're going to promote those on social media. That's it for month 1. That gets you started. Then for month 2, we've got the promoting the hub on social media again, creating 2 more blog posts. So at this point, you've got 4 blog posts in total. You're promoting those blog posts on social media again. And then at that point, we want to start building in different content types. So you might want to create an infographic that's based on some of the content that's within your pub content piece. That infographic could then be reused in other places. So you could take graphics, like little snippets from the infographic, and go ahead and promote those on social media. And that will then provide you additional reuse of that infographic content. Then month 3, you want to promote the hub on social media again. Pretty standard. Oh, create 2 more blog posts. So we've got 6 blog posts now. So we've got quite a bevy of blog posts to start working with. We're promoting those blog posts on social media again. Do you see a little, kind of regularity to this? We're having some consistency here. We're continuing to post. We're continuing to pull out that content that's good, juicy content, and sharing just little bits at a time. You're not going to get the whole enchilada, because you have to give us our contact information for the enchilada, but you can get a little bit of, salsa and chips. Then you'll want to create one case study. So at this point, you might have some good feedback from people that are using the hub material. They might have found it really useful. You might be able to say, hey, check out Molly, who's used our piece of hub content to really build her business in this way and that way. You could then create a press release featuring that case study or featuring the particular pieces and kind of promoting the hub content. Um, Now, this is a piece of content that can get you backlinks. It can definitely help you with that, the kind of the press piece of it. And at this point, you might have enough buzz with your blog posts and your social media posts that people are starting to hear about you and might be interested. So, month 4, again, promoting with social media. So, still on the social media bandwagon. And then we're going to create one guest blog post or media interview. Again, this could be a video interview, this could be a podcast, this could be a blog post, this could be any kind of guest blogging or any kind of guest interview or guest showing up. You could even do presentations, that kind of thing, as your promotional piece. But basically, get out there in front of in front of places that your audience is at already, and then go and promote yourself in front of them. So you're using their shared audience. And then once you've created that guest blog post or piece of content, then you want to again share it on social media, get it out there. Remember to tag the people that helped you create it, who helped you get that guest post somewhere or interview you on that podcast. That was really sweet of them. Should definitely say thank you. So from there, you might want to create a webinar about your content. And then from there, once you've created the webinar, you can put that video, well, I'm getting ahead of myself, that's month 5. But for the webinar, we'll go ahead and post the webinar slides to SlideShare. And so we can start getting additional pieces of traction from that well-known but underutilized little trick actually is the SlideShare, because SlideShare is a great place to really research topics and find presentation information, and then you can link back to it just like you can on YouTube. So it's a great kind of underutilized SEO option out there, as well as a hub and spoke, utilization. So one of those spokes could be on SlideShare. Then on month 5, again, promoting that hub on social media, can't do that enough. We're going to create one or more videos using Financial Potion or someone else, but maybe Financial Potion from that webinar in month 4. And then we'll basically take those videos and we'll promote them on social media again. And then from there, we want to reuse some additional content and do another guest blog post or media interview as well. Because you've got the webinar out there, because you've got the hub out there, you definitely want to keep posting and promoting to other audiences out there that are like yours. And then we want to promote that on social media. And again, rinse and repeat. So you see a lot of regularity, a lot of returning to strategies that have worked in the past. Now, this last month is super easy because you don't have to create a whole lot. You just have to create an email drip campaign using the previous content. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it can be easy because you've already got those blog posts. So you take those 6 blog posts, you then drip them out and kind of using the emails that you've created, that you've collected, and kind of giving them additional content around those pieces. So you're getting those touch points back into place. You might want to, especially if you're doing like the consults as the hub piece, doing an email drip campaign of stuff that they've actually already gotten from you helps reinforce those topics and those pieces, so they remember all of the feedback and great information you've provided them already. Some people don't like to repeat content, but it's actually a really great way to use repetition. Lots of people skim and lots of people don't actually fully engross themselves in everything they see the first time. And so it's great to reuse that content. And then it's all downhill from here. You start promoting that hub on social media one last time. You do those previous blog posts on social media one last time. You promote that infographic on that social media one last time. And then you promote videos on the videos that you've created from your webinar on social media one last time. And so this last month is really kind of reusing that content, making sure that people see it, and making sure that it's being reused and utilized well. So at the end, you're looking at a hub and a spoke situation like this. You've got, oh, You've got your hub in the middle, you've got your ads going to it, you've got your press release, you've got your webinar contacted to SlideShare, you've got your video from your webinar, you've got your blog posts and your social posts from those blog posts coming back to the hub, you've got your social posts and infographic posts coming back to the hub, you've got your email campaign coming back to the hub, and then you've got your guest posts coming back to the hub as well. So you've got all this great juicy content out there building and kind of utilizing that strategy out there for you to then drive this content beast that is your hub that continues to build you leads and contacts so that you can continue to market to them. Questions?
Yes, thank you so much, April. Such great stuff. So we do have a few questions that have already been trickled into me. As you're thinking about everything you've heard, if you have any other questions, please put them in the chat. So our first question that we have is, so you mentioned creating the hub first. However, should we release spokes first for the awareness level in the funnel to then push them to the hub? So it's like, do we need to kind of create them both at the same time, but perhaps release a spoke first?
Well, you want to create your hub first because you definitely, well, there's a couple of ways you can do this. So you can definitely back into a hub and spoke marketing strategy. And I see a lot of people do this where they'll back into it, where they've created a couple of good blog posts and they've created a couple of good infographics. And then they're like, okay, let's put this into a guide and make it into a guide. So you can totally back yourself into a hub and spoke strategy. A lot of people tend to like to create the hub first because then you have a cohesive piece that you can then all the content that's then going to be dripped out over time. So it can be done both ways. You can always test your hub option as well. If you're not sure that your hub content is actually going to be really juicy and something that they're going to want to sink their teeth into, then you may want to, just push out a couple of spokes first and see if you're getting any traction on that content. Another great way to do this is to look at the content that especially if you've got a Harry Carry strategy with your blog already. You're like, we don't have a strategy, we just post what feels good, which is fine. If that's the way you want to work, it works for people. But taking your Google Analytics and looking at your Google Analytics and finding out those blog posts that really got people's attention, you got the most page views on, can be a great way to suss out what your hub should be there as well. Does that help answer the question?
And April, perhaps if someone's like me, where I have, like you laid out those 6 months, so I probably on a piece of paper would go month 1, month 2, month 3, and 4, and have all these boxes with what's going on. And you might be able to then create a spoke and a spoke, knowing that you're leading to what you want the hub to be. So, but that's kind of if you've put it down on paper and you've kind of planned it out, you might be able to do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you've got, I've definitely done this in the past where we're working on like a retainer budget for a client. And so we might actually like separate out the hub first, or we might do this, some of the spokes first and then create the hub and then go back to the spokes and connect them back up. But it's always good to do it one way or the other. But it really matters on, having that game plan built out first and being like, okay, these are the keywords that I want to focus on. This is the hub content I want to focus on. Just having a rough outline can definitely help you out there, Anna.
Great.
Excellent. And another question we have then, so it sounds like for the best strategy, then should every hub have a landing page where then you're collecting the contact information for them to actually see the hub?
Absolutely. So that's a great question. Yes, every hub needs to be on a landing page that has that gated form that's ready to kind of spit back out the content in that deliverable way. But that's all in how your strategy, and it really depends on what the piece of content that you're trying to create as your hub. If it's
Mhm.
an interactive quiz, it's going to the lead in to gathering their contact information might be right at the end when I've already finished my quiz, so I don't want to lose my results, right? Because you're
Right.
like, oh, I don't want to lose my results. So then you're like, okay, Taylor, can you give me your name or can I get your name and email and we'll shoot you off your results?
Mhm.
And you're like, absolutely, because you've already dedicated 15 minutes onto this quiz or 10 minutes or 5 minutes doing this simple quiz, but you want to know your results. So that's a great way to kind of sink into it rather than, just be like, just kind of like the example that I showed with the, name, email, here's your button, form. Um, as long as you give enough information on that landing page to really whet their appetite and get them interested. A great company that does this is HubSpot. Go check out any of their resources. They have great landing pages for their materials. I can definitely pull one up here if we want, but it's just such great information. Let me go ahead and do that. Let's try a live demo, everybody.
All right. And you know what? While April is pulling that up, I'm going to be posting a quick poll. If everyone doesn't mind just participating in the poll, just to hear, oh goodness, for some reason the poll, it was here earlier. Well, then one moment, we're
Oh
not going to have a
no.
poll just yet.
So let's check this out. So they've got a lot of resources. So if I go into their resources piece, they've got ebooks, guides, and more. I love their ebooks pieces. But in each of their ebooks, like Make My Persona. Um, so this is a Make My Persona tool. So I can actually build my persona and start building it in. And then, so this is the quiz type model, right? Let's go back to a guide because that'll help us out here. Oh, come on. Let me see. Here you go. So they've got a little picture of the guidebook. You've got the little download for free. This goes to the form down below. Or a pop-up actually as it is. And look at how much contact information they're looking for. First name, last name, email, phone number, website address, company name, how many employees work there, whether you want to subscribe to my marketing blog, and then download. So it's collecting a lot of information from you to really get this. But here's, what you'll learn, some little details, some little infographics or pages from the ebook, some more contact, frequently asked questions. Do I need to fill out the information requested? Is it really free? And then get started now. This again is the pop-up form. So if you're looking for landing page examples, this is a great option out there.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so our next question that we have is how important is it to change the spoke types? You mentioned a video, an infographic. So how often when you're posting should you change the type of spoke?
Mm-hmm. So for the 6-month plan, I like to build the blog posts out first.
Mhm.
So then they can start building out the SEO kind of juice for you for that. And so post your blog posts first so they can start working for you. And then I'd like to start mixing in the multimedia.
Mm.
So the infographics, videos, that kind of thing. It really depends on what your budget is. what can you afford? What can you do? What do you want to do? Some content or some information might be better lent to a video than an infographic or another piece of podcast or a different piece of content. So it really depends on what your specialty is and what your content's going to be.
So like using even myself as an example, since we do video, it wouldn't be odd to have, 90% of the spokes be video. Is that correct?
Right. I don't think necessarily for you guys it would be odd because the
Mhm.
video is what you do.
Right.
And it would be difficult to, capsulate that kind of content into a blog post. But it would still be good to have some mix in there. So again, it's don't just quit blogging entirely, but then use repurpose the content
Mhm.
in your videos to then maybe take it and then turn it in. You've got your closed captioning pieces, right? So then
Mhm.
you can take that and then turn it into little blog posts or little snippets on social media to then promote the blog and or the video more.
Excellent, excellent. And Nat, thank you. You shared the link in the chat for the example that April shared, so that's wonderful. I'm also going to be launching that poll, so before you leave today, please make sure you participate in that poll. And if you say yes to number 3, please just share your name in the chat. We'd really appreciate that. The next question I have for you, though, April, on the topic of social media posts, is are the social media posts considered backlinks like a press release is?
Our social media posts, no. So social media posts are usually backlink no follow. And what that means, that's a super SEO jargony term. So backlink no follow basically means that those links on those big websites out there, they don't link back to your website in the way it actually pushes SEO juice, or basically it says when you have a no follow link, it basically tells the little robot inside of Google that says, hey, don't give this don't give this link SEO juice. So while it's not necessarily giving you a lot of SEO or backlink juice for your social media content, what it is giving you is actual eyeballs and actual traffic from people that are interested. And so, it's one of those things that the algorithms are definitely getting better to where it might be the case. We don't necessarily know for sure, but it might be the case that if you start, posting more about on social media about a piece of content, that it could raise the SEO value of that piece of content. But nothing's proven at this time. I know the
All right.
suspense.
Oh, thank you. And then you mentioned then, the importance of creating that email campaign. So for someone who maybe is just starting to dive into this, is there a particular software that you would recommend over others?
One more time.
For the email campaigns, because you mentioned the importance of having that email
Mhm.
campaign. Is
Yep.
there, there's so many different softwares out there. Is there one that you would recommend over another?
Oh man, this is a tough question. This is like $1 million question here. I love Active Campaign for drip campaigns.
Okay.
That's what I like to use for that kind of thing. I'm starting to like really dive into Mailchimp's customer journeys and kind of pick into that and see if I like it, because I love Mailchimp as an email client, but the drip campaigns and things like that, especially serious automations, Mailchimp kind of falls down a little bit. So I'm really excited to kind of dive into their customer journey piece, but Active Campaign would definitely be my suggestion. But again, it's one of those things that if you guys are already, in an email campaign system, you're already using Constant Contact like 90% of the world, you can definitely still do it. It's just a little bit more difficult.
Right. So with someone who's maybe just getting started, then they can maybe take a look at
Hmm.
that. Wonderful.
Absolutely.
At this point, if anyone wants to unmute themselves and just ask any question to April, we still have about 8 minutes left.
Okay, I have a question. April, in the beginning, you mentioned that you recommend only creating content in the area of your expertise. Now, when there's opportunities to create content on like related and complementary subjects to your expertise, perhaps this is where we should have like a guest create a content, whether it's a blog or whatever, because sometimes there's just hot topics that are not exactly your expertise, but they're related and they
Mm-hmm.
could feed into it, and you wouldn't want to miss that opportunity necessarily.
Right, but it's going to be a spoke. It's not going to be a hub.
Okay, very good point. Very good point.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then if you could just, I hadn't heard SlideShare mentioned lately. So you're recommending it because it's a really good SEO component?
Yeah, it's a lot like YouTube in the fact that it gives you like a little description blurb that you can really write in additional content and then include a link to your actual hub. So, and that backlink will be a follow link. So it is, unless they've changed it on me. But it is a great way to get a really quality backlink from people that are interested in your content because they're looking at SlideShare.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great tip.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Yeah, good question, Anna. Anyone else have questions that they either want to post in the chat or, like I said, at this point, feel free to unmute yourself and just go ahead and ask April.
Did we get any good jokes?
We got one
Oh.
submission.
And it
Ryan,
was actually
Ryan.
pretty good.
where was that?
Ryan, would you like to
A
tell it? Is
blog
Ryan
post.
still?
Yeah, Ryan,
Yeah,
I
is
think
Ryan
since you were
here?
the Joker, you're the one who came up with it. I think you should definitely deliver it.
I delivered it in chat. I don't know if it's as funny when
Come
you
on. Come on.
say it. So
I laughed.
oh, you didn't see it, April?
Yeah, a blog post and a press release about a blog. Walk into a bar. The blog says to the release, "Can I Canonical buy you a drink?"
See, I
That's
laughed.
funny.
I thought it was funny.
It's very clever.
Have you,
Great job,
Nice
Ryan.
job, Ryan.
Yeah.
that's way better than let's see here.
Than you were expecting, right?
That's way better than I was expecting. That's way better than I could have done.
Yeah.
I
Good job.
actually have a question beyond just the joking. So
Great.
so when you think about the hub content, I guess how long and how many resources should you put toward that? And that's something that I think a lot of my clients struggle with, and I struggle with is, do you put all of your energy into that the first month because it's just that important? Or is it, just get enough going so that you could start to progress on to some of the next things? How do you think about producing that hub content? And then also, a lot of clients have multiple hubs, right? And so you start to think about how do you juggle having multiple different access points? So just
Right.
2 questions there.
Absolutely. So you've got so for your hub, you really want to spend some considerable time putting it together. I've got this fly. It's like, no, I've got the pencil eye. So in any case, we've got with your blog content, your with your hub content, you really want to spend some significant time putting it together. And that's why you can front load it with, kind of but taking the time that it might take you to create the infographic to include it in the hub and spoke the hub document. So you might be creating some of this stuff in the front and front loading a lot of this stuff, especially if you're creating the hub first. And then again, if you are having trouble creating that hub first, you're like, oh, I just can't get someone to sit down and write a 50-page ebook. Maybe doing it, backing into it and maybe doing, the 6 blog posts first and making that into chapters and then adding the infographic as part of that piece and kind of helping to build it out that way might help you in the building of the actual hub. But it really depends on what you decide to make as that hub. Because like an interactive quiz, you can't really not get away with a lot there. But like an ebook, you could probably publish something that's a 10-page guide to start with. And then if it, as you start building up content around it and building it up, you could then make it into maybe a 20 or 25-page guide. And it doesn't necessarily have to be super long if it gets the point across. Um, so does that help answer your question, Ryan?
Yes, it does. I mean, the problem is it's so client specific, right?
Yes.
And it's problem specific. So I think that's always just going to be a challenge. But thanks.
Mm-hmm. So let me share my screen. We've got one more SEO joke. So an SEO expert walks into a bars, beer garden, hangout, lounge, nightclub, mini bar, bar stool, tavern, pub, beer, wine, and whiskey.
Covered
Awesome.
everything. I love it.
Excellent.
I love
Any
it.
other
That's the
questions
only
or
SEO joke I
jokes?
could find.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us. And April, thank you very much. I mean, you gave me a lot to think about. And again, I think one thing to take away, I mean, there's several things to take away, but one thing to take away is that when you're creating this content, you can repurpose it into other little things. And even though email drip campaign might scare people, definitely use the content you've created already. It's there, and that's why you do it, and get the most out of each of your efforts. But
Yep.
April, thank you very much. That was a great presentation. And again, everyone, we will get you the presentation and the video as well. Were you going to say something, Taylor?
Yes, I do believe April am I correct? You have a giveaway, right?
I have a giveaway.
You have a giveaway. So hopefully everyone stuck around for the giveaway.
Okay, let's do
Do a
this.
little drum roll here.
Do
Do
we
you need
have
to
like
share your screen or anything?
Yes, let me do this real quick. So real quick, before we actually posted it, it's actually called Marketing Metrics Mastermind. And basically what it is it's a metrics mastermind for people that are interested in their marketing metrics. So that's what we're giving away, everybody. So drum roll, please.
Very cool.
Did we get the winner, or Taylor, are you doing that? Or we? Oh no.
And the winner is Diane Conti, sorry, Diane of Continental Flooring Company.
Sweet.
Great.
Yay.
Yay to Diane.
Right, so we'll reach out to Diane. Diane, we have you come to a lot.
Excited, Diane?
A lot of our events, so congratulations, and we'll reach out to you.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, Diane.
Yes, thank you, April. That is great. And happy birthday. Thank you for your presentation. And we will get the information to everybody. And then just upcoming, and it is up on the website and you can register. We are having a career topic, what marketers need to get ahead in today's job market. Michelle Robin will be speaking from Brand Your Career. She's the Chief Career Brand Officer at Brand Your Career. So Wednesday, May 5th, which is also Cinco de Mayo. So I would say we could have a lunchtime margarita in celebration and learn a lot. So please join us. And again, we thank our sponsors. So in particular, Financial Potion and Taylor Wellman, and then Made Better Studios and April Holle. And we also thank our supporters. They are just incredible and allow our board members to do what we need to do to get things done. So hopefully we will see you on May 5th. keep an eye out on our website and you'll probably get an email. But again, everyone, thank you and enjoy the rest of your Thursday afternoon.